Hey, Ben here, and I want to walk you today through how to build this Buzzfeed style quiz in Webflow. So you see, I have this site. You can find out which Ted Lasso character you are. And so basically how this works is we can choose to take the quiz, right? And we can make our choices. So we can say Joe's Kansas City barbecue, will be kind, we like a book, we like John Wooden, we click show me my results. It thinks for a second, then it tells us what character we are. Well, how did we do this? This is built, if you saw my Webflow talk, you know this is built with Webflow. This is a Webflow form. And then when we click that button, we're making an API call, and we're letting Airtable do the math to figure out what character we are, and it sends that back, and we put it on the DOM here. And so a lot of times when people think of things like this, they're like, well, I could use Zapier. And when the form submits, you know, Zapier does a thing, but there's no way to bring that content from Zapier back to the front end, right? There's no way to get this back to the front of the page or on the page where we can actually see the result. So normally we would stick to, like, if we were on a membership site, it stores it someplace and they can go to the profile and see it, or maybe we would email it. There's quite a few things that we could do. In this case, we're using a third-party tool called AutoCode, because what we're doing is we're making an API call with JavaScript, and in Webflow, there's no way to make an API call without exposing your API key. And AutoCode gives us an endpoint that we can make calls to where we don't need a key, right? And so once people finish this, they can, of course, tweet the results again, take the quiz, they can see how other people scored. You know, where do you fall in? Oh, 51% of people are TED, so a lot of people are TED. And where we can take the quiz again, which starts it over. So let's build this. What I've done is I've made a copy of this project, and in fact, I deleted a bunch of stuff, so let's just remove a bunch of things now. We'll remove these classes that we had, and it probably won't be one for one or the other because I don't remember how I named things, but we're just going to do our best. We're going to try to rebuild this form, and I think the best place to start, honestly, is in Airtable. In fact, let's go back to Airtable home. We'll open up the base that I was using. You can see this is where people's submissions come to, and we get their score, and then they get an answer. And so how did we do this? So let's start there. And you'll see on my quiz, I have some questions. You know, choose your favorite restaurant. You know, your friends would describe you as, you know, your weekends consist of, you know, choose the person who inspires you, right? And these are all just radio buttons, and they have a numerical value attached. And so I think if you want to be Ted, it's always the top left box. We should really randomize these. Hopefully you do. You know, Beard is the bottom right, Roy is the top right, and Rebecca is the bottom left. And, you know, if you're Ted, I think you're a 4, so the number is 4. In fact, we could just double check by looking at our base here. 4s all the way around are Ted, right? 2s all the way around are Beard. And so I just assigned a character a value. So these radio buttons have values that match that character, and then we take people's answers and we just average them and say you're the average of whatever, right? And we send this back. So let's build this base in Airtable. So we'll just call this a Buzzfeed style quiz, and let's just give it a color, and we'll give it an icon. Okay. And then we can delete fields. Let's delete fields. Delete fields. All right. And then I'm just going to, for this example, have one table. We're going to call it quiz and save it. The name here, we're going to use a formula for this. So if I customize the field type here really quickly, what I'm going to do is choose formula for the name, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just do submission. So this is a submission that comes in, space, pipe, and a space, and then we'll do ampersand. I think there's a created time. Yeah, that's what we want. Created time. And then we'll save this. And so that means the name of every one of these rows is going to be submission pipe created time, the time that it was created, time and date. So so we're good there. We have that. And then you'll see we have 4 questions, so we need, answer 1, where they'll send their answers in here. We're going to use a number field, just like this. And let's just make this easy and duplicate the field and rename it to answer 2. That works. Oh, if I need to rename this field one more time because I have that bracket there, then we can duplicate this and rename it answer 3. And then we can duplicate this and rename it answer 4. So now we have our 4 fields, right? So if someone sends 1, 1, 1, and 1, they get a character result. And so, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And in fact, let's do this really quickly. Let's look and see who is what. So I've slept since I built this and I don't remember. So this is Ted, and it looks like Ted is a 4. And then if we inspect this, it looks like this is a 3, and I bet this is a 2. No, that's a 1, and this is a 2. So 4, 3, 1, 2. 4, 3, 1, 2. It's always that pattern it follows. So, so Ted is a 4, Roy is a 3, Rebecca's a 1, and Beard is a 2. And so that's where that's how our answers are going to map out. But we'll have that. So I just want an example of all of these. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then let's get us a new row over here and do 4, just to make sure we're getting the right results here. 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay. And then we need to find a way to calculate the average, which if everybody answers the same thing every time, not hard to average it, but people will probably have, some mixed responses here. So what we want to do is we want to do a formula field. Formula. I always struggle to find formula sometimes. We'll just call this result. Okay. So in the formula, we're going to do round. And then inside of there, we're going to do average. And we're just rounding out the number in case there was anything that was, weird, where it was like 3.2 or whatever. We want to round it to the nearest there. So we're going to average, and then we just want to average all of our fields. And in Airtable, you can just use the curly brackets and say answer 1, comma, curly brackets, answer 2, comma, curly brackets, answer 3, and then answer 4. So we can create this field, and that should be it, right? In fact, we can customize this field type, formatting, integer. That's fine. That's what we want. Okay. So now we have a result, and then we want to work with these results here just a little bit, and we need another formula field. So we need a way, when this row is created, we get the result, we need a way to map that to a character. So what I did, you can do this a bunch of different ways. The one thing I would say is some people are going to be like, I'm going to use an automation. Automations take a little while to run. So automations are if we go to our extensions over here and we add an extension, and you could do some scripting over here, and we could add this. And this lets us write JavaScript and do work whenever a row is created. I'm doing this in my field. Or in my table. I'll show a little bit about this here in a while, but this takes a while to run. And so, it can take 10 seconds or so, and so people are going to be waiting a long time for the results, so I don't recommend doing that, but to each their own. Do whatever makes the most sense. If you have a way to keep people engaged, I think that's good. I'm going to do formula, and we're going to call this. So in fact, let's look at this real quick. We need, what are we sending? So if I choose all of these answers and I say, show me my results, we'll just look at this again. You are Rebecca. Okay, so we get a name, an image, and a description. So that's what we need to return in our Airtable. So let's do result name. And then I'm just going to do nested if statements. That's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to say, if, and in fact, I'm going to, hold on really quickly, I'm going to discard that. Let's rename this field just to make this easier for us going forward. I'm going to call this result calc because that's what I called it in my other one. And then let's do formula, and then we'll call this result name. And then we're going to use a formula. We'll use nested if. So we're going to say if, and we'll just break it. We're going to say if result calc is equal to 4, then it's TED. But if the result calc is equal to 3, then you're a Roy. We'll do, oh, nope, we need a comma, not a period. Then we'll do if, result calc is equal to 2, you are Beard. But if result calc is equal to 1, you're Rebecca. All right, and so we can hit create field here, and you'll see this Rebecca, Beard, Roy, Ted. Yeah, that's exactly what we want, right? We can create a new row and do 3, 2, 2, 1. And it averages it out. So this is how that's going to work. The average of all these is 2. You're a Beard. Congratulations. And so we see this working. Now I also need to send a description. I'm just going to do formula here. So, and we'll call this result description. And in order to save us some time, I do have these formulas saved, which is why I kept that field the same there. So now you can see you're strong and fierce. You're someone who, whatever, right? We get these cheesy answers that you have to write. And so now, and it's the same if we look at the formula, customize field type, we can stretch this out. You'll see it's the same. It's just nested if statements. So we're going to do the same thing again. We'll do formula, and we'll call this result image. Now for this one, I'm going to copy and paste again just to save us some time. But you'll notice these URLs are just, these are images that are uploaded into Webflow. I just copied the URL for them, and we create this field. So now if I create a row, it tells me not only who I am, but it gives me a description and an image. And when this row is created, when you create a row via the API, it gives you all of these fields back. So someone sends in all of their answers, this row is created, and then Airtable says it's created, Beard, you're someone who, whatever your description, and then you get this image. So now we have this set up. Now in mine, I am using automations. So basically I have a characters table, and what I'm doing is there's an automation that runs after a row is created. We're not using it on the page immediately, but it's just helping me choose like this lookup field, which gives me characters, so I can see 44 people have been Roy, 108 Ted, 28 Rebecca, 31 Beard, and then we're using this percentages to calculate percentages. And essentially what happens is on the page load, it doesn't even happen when they submit the form. On the page load, we figure out the percentages based on those fields in Airtable, and those numbers in Airtable, and we display them here so people can see these. Not necessary. I'm not going to go all the way into this today. If you all would like to see it, happy to do another video on it. But basically just going to work on getting the results first. Okay. So now we have our Airtable, the back end that's going to do the work. We have this here, right? We need to build our form. So let's go back into Webflow. And I deleted everything. Let's hope that I can remember how I did this, because I haven't really looked at this. I built this for fun a little while back. I redid it for the Webflow conference, but I haven't touched it in a bit. So let's just give this a name. We'll call it quiz form. We'll give it a class. And we'll do the same thing up here with the quiz form ID. And then we're going to get rid of all the fields. We don't need these fields. And we're going to put a div in here. And inside this div, we're going to give this a class question wrapper. That's what we'll call it. And now let's go ahead and put a heading in here. We'll make it an H2. And we'll give it an ID of one question. And I think we'll just have to go over here and copy all of our stuff here. So choose your favorite restaurant. That's what we want. That's the first question. Choose your favorite restaurant. And then inside of here, we want to put a list. So I'm going to call this a radio list. All right. And we'll get rid of the padding. We don't want any padding on the side. We don't want a list style. And in fact, we're going to make this display grid. And yeah, that's fine. We'll just do one rem for our gaps. That works. And then we're going to add one more item because these, 4 items for each question. Then let's add a radio button. And you'll say, this looks nothing like what's on the live page, and you are right. So let's call this radio field. And then for the radio button, we'll call it radio button. And for this, we'll call it radio label. Now let's style. So for this, we want a width of 100%. I think I did like a height of 160. That I can't remember. And then that's the radio button, which is fine. This is the label, the button. Okay, so radius. In fact, what we want to do is we want to do custom, right? And then for our radius, yeah, we got that to 0. We want 0 pixels there, and we don't want any outline or any border, but let's go ahead and give it a background image, and let's choose, we don't want to choose an image yet, but let's just set it to cover, center. Okay, so now this is a background image, right? We have a background image, and now well, you see, look at this. We hover this radio button field, and this is off. It's because radio buttons have a -20 pixels on it already. And then it looks like the radio field has 20 pixels. Let's just get that back to where we want it. All right. I think we are good. So now we need to label. We'll give it a width of 100%. And we'll just do one rem as the padding here, and then we'll use Shift Command or Shift Control and drag this to get some padding on it. And we'll set it to flex, and we'll center. And then let's set a background color on this, because I think that's what I did, which is like this, smoke, white smoke, light gray. So we have that. And then radio field, I just want to do height 100%. And I think we want to set this, if we hit radio field, we'll set it to flex and vertical. And our radio label, we'll set this to grow so it takes up all the space if there's longer items here. So now we have a radio field, right? Looks pretty good, except right now, if I might want to click the image and there's no tell that I can do that. So what I'm going to do is on the radio field, I'm going to make the cursor, let's do pointer, and then now it feels like I can click the whole thing, which is good. It's what we want. And now that we have this radio field set, we can copy it and paste it into the other list items. So we have 4 of them. And you may be saying, okay, they all look the same. That's true. We're going to get to that. There are a few things we want to take care of. On the list item, so you'll notice on mine, I noticed this on Buzzfeed. Let's refresh. If you click on these, I take you to the next item, but we also, fade out all the other options and keep this one faded in. So we're going to need 2 interactions to do that. I don't think I deleted them, so we can actually just use the work that I did here. So in fact, what we could do is just delete these other list items for now and just keep this one, and we'll copy it. So let's go to our element trigger. We're going to have the list item selected. We're going to do mouse click tap, and we're going to start an animation, and we're going to use this one called Fatum, which is funny to me, I guess. But basically, only siblings with this class are going to be taken down to 45%. Done, right? So all the same items with the same class are going to go down to 45%. So we have that, and then we're going to add another mouse click tap event, and we're going to start an animation. We're going to fade them again. But if all the other siblings get taken down to 45%, this one is going to stay at 100%. Now, if they only click once, it's not a big deal. We don't need these two interactions. But if I clicked different answers, we need to bring whatever we clicked back up to 100%. So now that we have this list item, we can copy it, and let's just paste it 3 more times, and we have these interactions. So let's test this. List item, mouse click tap. Let's look. What do we have? Oh, this is not target. So let's change the target to list item. Right here. Boom, class. Oh, do I not have? The problem is I don't have a class on these. Aha. Okay, well, let's go ahead and back up real quick then, and let's call this question list item. Okay, so now let's go in here, and on the mouse click tap, let's just set this up real quick. Let's change the target to this right here. For some reason, it's not letting me choose that. So let's do question list item here. That's what we want. Okay, so let's save it, and then the second one is actually the item here. So we're using the interaction trigger, so we don't need a class there. So now let's copy this over a few more times, and then let's preview. So you'll see it fades these others out, and we wouldn't need the second interaction if they just choose one. But if I wanted to switch and I clicked this, we need a way to make sure the one that's clicked goes all the way up to 100%. So now we see these on selection highlighting. There's some other things that we need to do. So our radio button, what we should do is we should go in here and add a focus state to it. And let's get rid of the shadow. We don't want a border. But what we want to use is we want to use outline. And let's just do like 0.25 rem on the width. And let's offset it 0.25 rem. That's fine. And we'll use this red color to help us out there. That looks good. And then we want to set focused keyboard as well. Carries everything over except the width, 0.25 rem. Okay. And then again, no border. We don't want that. So now we have our focused and focus state. And then the other thing that we need to choose on our radio button is checked. And so again, no border, but we do want to outline it 0.25 rem, and then 0.25 rem, just like that, and do the color as well. So now when we check one, I don't know why that didn't work, because we do have checked. We have checked set here. We don't want a border. Let's just publish it and see if it's working. Yeah, publish to selected domains. That's fine. And let's open this up. Okay, yeah. So it is working. When we check something, that works just fine. And we're looking good. Okay. So, and that, when it's focused or checked, you'll notice that goes back behind. I wonder if we set this to position relative, give it like a z-index of 1, and then we did focus. There you go. Now it sets up on top. There, that's good. That's good. Okay, so we have our styling now, and we have this. We gotta get our radio fields right. So for a group name, we want 1, and for our choice, our value. Okay, let's see if we remember this. It is 4 because Ted's a 4 because that's where Ted goes, And let's just make sure we get this right. This is Roy, and Roy was a 3. Okay, I just want to make sure we get this right. So this value should be 3, and this group name should be 1. And then this value, this was Rebecca, and Rebecca is a this is Rebecca. Rebecca is a 1. So this should be a value of 1, and we'll give this the same group 1. They all need it, and then these should be required too, by the way. So 1 3 1 4, so 1 4 1 3 1 1, and then this will be group 1, and this should be should only leave 2 left, and it's required. And then what we'll want to do is on these IDs, that's fine. Actually, we're going to do IDs of like 1 4, 1 3, 1 1, and 1 2. Just so they're different there. And on the list, the radio list, we're going to do a label. We're going to do a custom attribute area. We'll do labeled by, and I think we said 1 question. So this is 1 question. So we want to think about accessibility. So, I mean, as a sighted user, this makes sense. Like I can click and see, right? But if I'm using a screen reader, we want this to feel really comfortable. So basically what's going to happen is they're going to come into this question and they'll get to the list. It'll say list, choose your favorite restaurant, because it's using the ID here to tell it this is the label. List, choose your favorite restaurant, 4 items, and then it'll start reading them, the options. So this is sort of the pattern we want to follow. So now we have this question wrapper, and these are all set up right. We have you know, the clicks work, we have it structured the way we want. Let's go ahead and copy this. So let's copy it and paste it 3 times because we have 4 questions, and then we'll just need to do some cleanup. So let's come up here. Let's go through and clean up first. So we'll call this 2 question, and let's get the second question here. Oh, wrong click. Your friends would describe you as. So that's the second question. Your friends would describe you as. That's 2 question. This is going to be labeled by 2 question, right? And then these options would now be 2 4, 2 3, 2 1, and 2 2. And then we'd want to go through as well, and these would just be 2. This would be group 2. This would be group 2. And this would be group 2. All right, now let's get the third question. The third question was your weekends consist of. So this is question 3, and we'll just give this a 3 question here. And again, because we're gonna have duplicate IDs until we fix this. So this is 3 4. This is 3 3. This is 3 1, and you'll see Webflow down here is telling us we have duplicate IDs in the audit panel. And this is 3 2. All right, and then these groups here, they need to be 3. So we'll just actually copy that. This is group 3. All right, and now we have this. In fact, one other thing I need to change. This is labeled by 3 question. Right? Accessibility, we gotta get it right. Okay, and this is 4 question. So 4 question, and this is gonna be labeled by 4 question. So labeled by 4 question, and then these are gonna be 4 4, 4 3, 4 4 4 3, 4 1, and 4 2. And then these will be group 4. So let's just nope, 4. Let's select that and copy it, and then let's paste. this over to all of these, and they're all required. All right, so our questions are set up in our values. We're doing good. Now we just need to get the images and the labels right. So I think for Ted, so we'll just use combo classes here. And so for Ted, we can choose an image of, I think it was Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, and we can just copy that. Oh. So Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, and then I don't know why it's copying us. So this is Kebab Cafe. We'll just copy that. Kebab Cafe. There we go. And then for this one, we'll give it a 1, 2, and choose this kebab image. I think this was a Maggiano's. Oh, that's the actual published page. So let's come here, Maggiano's, and then this one was Arby's. I do think Arby's is kind of good, so I might be rare in that. That's okay. So let's choose our picture of Maggiano's, and then let's call this 1-4, and let's choose our picture of Arby's. Okay, and you'll notice that like this is actually 1-2, and I'm giving a class of 1-4. The classes don't really matter. We're just so we can get the images in here. And so now your friends would describe you as kind, angry, aloof, emotionally distant. So kind, this is angry, and this is aloof, and this is emotionally distant. And then we can just start putting our images in. So this would be 2-1 now, and we'll choose an image for it. And for kind, I want to say it was that, and this is 2-2, and we'll choose an image for this, which is angry. I love that one. 2-3. Let's choose an image, and this one would be aloof, so I like that. And then 2-4, 2-4. That's gonna be choose an image, emotionally distant. There we go. Okay, so your weekends consist of. We're gonna copy these because they're longer. So let's copy that. Nope. For some reason that's copying. Move radio label. Oh, let's go ahead and center this text too. There we go. Relaxing at home with a good book. Doing yoga with elderly women. If you've seen the show, you would know why that's an option. Let's fancy dinner parties. And then this last one is going to be recreation of the movie The Hangover. Okay, and so we have that. And you'll notice because we have these styled, these even out on their height and everything just kind of works, which is good. So we're going to call this 3-1. And let's choose our image again. So we need the book image, and I want to say it was that. Okay, and then this is our 3-2. So let's choose it. And this would be yoga. There we go. And this is 3-3. So let's choose this image. And this is fancy dinner parties, which would be that. And then this is 3-4. Nope, not 2-4. If I could type 3-4, there we go. And then let's choose this image. Hangover, I think I had this one here. Okay. And so finally we're at the last one. John Wooden, Gordon Ramsay. So John Wooden, not Woodham, Wooden. Gordon Ramsay. And this was, I think it's Megan Rapinoe. And I want to say Bobby Fischer. So let's just let's make sure that's right. Okay, that's right. All right, so now we can do 4:1 and set this image of John Wooden. They call me coach. 4:2. We'll set this one of Gordon Ramsay, person who likes to yell a lot. We'll set this one to 4:3. We'll choose this image. Perfect. And then this is 4:4. And we'll choose this image. Bobby Fischer. There he is. Perfect. All right. So, and then let's give this a class. I have a button with an icon class. So button icon, and we'll say, I think we labeled this show me my results. So now let's publish this and take a peek at it and just make sure. So this is where it was. Let's make sure everything's working. So, yep, you can select these. They stay checked. We see a checked state. It fades the others. And this is exactly what we want. You'll notice it's not scrolling to the next one, but I'm using JavaScript for that. And since these are option fields, they're not link fields, right? We can't have them set an option and link it. So we need to use some JavaScript. And inside of here, I have a link to a script that I was using in my other project here. So let's just get rid of that. Let's just remove it. We don't need it. Save. All right, so let's go to our Visual Studio Code. Let's don't save this, and we'll just come over here, and this is from an older session, so let's remove this folder from the workspace. Okay, we have nothing here. What we want to do is go to GitHub. Oh, I don't know why that did that. We want to go to sorry about that. We want to go to GitHub. Let's create a new repository. Okay, and let me adjust this window real quick to get everything back. Good, okay. So let's create it, we'll call it Buzzfeed tutorial. That'll be me that owns it. It's public. We'll add a README file. Let's create the repository. So we're creating it. We can go to code, and we can copy this right here. And if you have GitHub CLI installed on your machine, which I do, I can just paste this, and it's going to clone that repo and pull it right down to my machine in this folder that I have selected, which is where I want it. And so now, if we choose our code editor here, let's open a folder. And let's choose Get Buzzfeed Tutorial. Get Buzzfeed Tutorial. Let's add this. Yes. So we don't have any code here. Let's just call this script.js, create a new file, and let's console log something to make sure it's working. We'll just console log working. And then over here, I have this live server. So live server, change live server workspace, Buzzfeed Tutorial. And you can install this on yours. I highly recommend it. But if we click Go Live, it's going to open a new window with this code. I can copy the link to it, and then I can come back to my project, and inside of here, we can use this as the source. Now, what this means is, if I'm writing code, anybody visiting my site right now, none of the code I'm writing would be visible to them. It's not going to work. So any functionality I add, it's not going to work. But for me, it should. We can inspect and see it's console logging working. So we're up and running, right? So right now I can fill this out. And if I fill it out and I hit show me my results, it submits the form. That is not what we want, right? That is definitely not what we want. What we want is we want it to stop the form from submitting. So let's go ahead and pull open our console here, or our code editor. Let's remove the console log. We don't need that either. Let's save it. All right, and then let's just start by, let's make sure this doesn't work. I normally don't use, I'm going to use some jQuery here, and I normally don't use jQuery, but quiz form, I'm pretty sure is what we used. And I want to turn off GitHub Copilot. Let's just disable it globally for now so it doesn't keep suggesting things here. And we'll submit. And then we're going to do a function and just like this. And then these. And then let's just say return false. Okay, and let's save it. And then now if we come back over to our page and we reload, we should be able to select these items. Yep, and we click show me my results and the page is not doing anything, form's not doing anything. That's what we want. Because again, on submission of the form, we want to take all the values and make an API call. So now we're in a good spot. This is working the way we want. Let's go ahead and start doing some other things. So I guess the first thing is before we actually make the calls, let's get the scrolling working so that when I click on something, you know, it scrolls. And in fact, I think I may have a problem over here that we need to fix. So we have these question wrappers here. Question wrapper. Let's clean this up real quick. So question wrapper, radio list. Yeah, see, I don't have anything here. So let's just call this question 1. And let's just copy this. And we'll call this question 2. And then here we'll do question 3. And then down here we'll do question 4. All right. So let's go ahead and save that and publish it so that it's on our page, because I think we're going to need those. And then we should be able to select these by just doing like a, we'll say we're just going to test this here before we write the code. Let x equal document dot query selector all. And let's do I think we can do, wait, what, how did I, question 4 like this. So I should be able to do question 1 ul li. Let's console.log x. Yep, and there's all of these questions here. You can see I can hover over them and they highlight. So we can just follow that pattern all the way down. So let's just move this down. Let's set some, because what I'm doing here, just to explain, I need to have a click event on all of these. So I need to be able to select them all and add a click event to get this to scroll. So what we're going to do is we're going to say a const question 1 items equals, and let's just copy this here. No need to have to do all this. So just like that. And then we should just be able to copy this down. See, this is 1 and 1, so we can just change this to 2. And then this is 1 and 1. We'll change this to 3. And then you can just click and then hold Option down, and it'll put as many cursors out as you want in VS Code. So then we can change this to 4. Question. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's. This is question 1, and then I need to do. Let's just 1 here and 1. Let's backspace this. So this is 4. So now question 4 items, question 2 items, question 3 items, and question 4 items. And what we want to do is we want to do like a window dot onload equals event, and then what we'll do is we'll do an arrow function just like this. So when the window loads, you know, let's do these things here. So we'll say question 1 items dot for each item. That's kind of what we want to do, right? for each, actually what we need to do here is for each item, just like this, and then we'll just do an arrow function, and just like this. And for each item, what we want to do is, for each item, we want to add event listener. And we need a function so add event listener dot. We'll do item dot add event listener, and we'll do click, and then some function, which doesn't exist yet. So we need to build that. Some function, and then just like that we have our event. But what we needed to do is we need this to scroll, and so what I want to do is, so right now if I click take the quiz, it scrolls me down, and if I open my system settings here, accessibility, reduce motion. Okay, now Webflow has this built in. What if I have reduce motion turned on, I don't get the smooth scroll. We want to respect that same thing, right? Like that's something like I want to do. My big thing is I want to make sure that with everything that I do here, that I'm being respectful for folks. I don't want to cause harm. So let's try to figure out how we would do this. And in fact, I think what we want to do is there's a great article from web.dev talks about prefers reduced motion, and there is a way to get this. So this is their do this. Okay, cool. So let's come back over to our live page. Let's switch really quickly over to Visual Studio Code, and then let's just say const motion state is what we'll call it, equals window.matchMedia prefers reduced motion. So now actually on let's go ahead and comment this out, because we don't want this to like cause us any problems or anything. All right, just like that. And then let's console.log motion state, right? And let's go ahead and refresh. So media query matches, so true. What does true mean? I am preferring reduced motion, right? So that's true. If I were to come over here and turn this off and refresh, you'll see this is false. So we want that media state dot matches. So one of the things that we want to do here is we want to say, okay, on window load, if motion state dot matches equals true. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Equals true. Boom. Then we'll just console log prefers reduced motion, right? Else console.log motion is okay to use. All right, so let's just turn that on, and then let's refresh here. Motion is okay to use. Is that true? Yeah, it's okay to use. But if I turn this on and reduce motion, and we refresh the page, prefers reduced motion. Yeah, okay. So now we have something to work with. Like we're looking pretty good. Okay, so what I want to do now is let's go ahead and write some. Let's write some code that really would work with this, right? So let's take this out here, and let's do a function, and let's call it respect motion preference. And let's just put this in here just like this. But what we want to do is we want to pass in an element. So we'll just do E for element as a parameter. And then we'll do E dot scroll into view, which is lets us a JavaScript method API. Let's gonna let us scroll an element into view. Okay, so let's just do it just like this, and then we're gonna say block start. And so what that's going to do is it's going to take us to the very start of whatever element we pass through to it. So we can remove this here, but else, if motion is okay to use, we want to do this, but we want to add a second parameter, which is, we'll say over here, behavior, and we'll say smooth. We'll just add a comma here because that's what it expects. So if reduce motion is turned on, it's just going to scroll them to things. But if they are okay with motion, it's going to smooth scroll them to things. And so now I can start creating some functions. I can do function to question 2. And then what we're going to do is just move this. Respect motion preference. But we are going to do this to question we'll just do this. Except we don't need the ULI. So that's going to take us to question 2, and it's going to scroll there, and it's going to respect those preferences. And then we can just copy this and paste it. And again, do our trick here with multiple selectors. So we'll just call this 3, and that's fine. And then we'll paste it one more. We'll say this here is 4. Hey. Now we have, so now we can uncomment this, and we don't need to console log our motion state anymore. We know what's happening there. Okay, so for each item, let's click for all the question 1 items. Let's click, add a click event to question 2. All right, and then we can just copy this, and then here. Actually, we're going to want to do this a little bit. So question 2 items, they're going to go to question 3. And then we'll just copy this again. We'll say for all question 3 items, let's say to question 4. All right, now let's see if this works. We just did all of this and we have no clue. So right now, let's turn off reduce motion. Let's come over here and let's refresh this page. So here we go. Oh, scroll into view is not a function. Okay, so looks like my problem was I had query selector all on these. Wasn't paying attention. But document.query selector. So now that we have this function, respect motion preference, scroll into view, block start. Okay, so what we can do here is we can take the quiz, and then it's just going to take us to each question, or if we turn on reduce motion, we should be able to refresh here and everything should snap. Yep, just like that. Okay, so we have that part handled. We have our scrolling handled. We're preferring, we're deferring to users' motion preferences. So all of that looks to be good. Now it is just making API calls, which is going to get fun. Okay, so let's, we're to that point where like when we click the button, we want to do things. All right, so let's jump over into AutoCode. So this is AutoCode. I can click new web service, and we'll call this Buzzfeed how to. and let's create the project. And what this does is this gives us an endpoint that we can work with, and without having to give away our API key. Because if we were working with the Airtable API, what would happen is if we were in here, we would start some sort of fetch, and we would need like HTTPS, it would be the Airtable whatever, but then we'd have to put in our API key. We can't do that. I talked about this in my Webflow conf talk. So what we want to do is use autocode. When you first load autocode, you get all of this. We don't need all of this. We can get rid of it. This is just some examples. We can get rid of this. So let's just start at the top by doing module.exports equals async. Hey, look, it's doing almost all of this for us. Thus the term autocode. And what this does is this lets us send our answers. And so you can see in we have answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, answer 4. That's what we're sending. So up here we need to do answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, and answer 4, and then we want to do context. Okay, and then here's what makes autocode really cool is down here I can link resources. I've already linked Airtable, and I'm pretty sure maybe I haven't. So Airtable, yeah, I'm good. This is called Buzzfeed style quiz. Let's choose that. Boom, finished linking. And so now I should be able to say, okay, const new, we'll just call it get character. We'll use that for both of these. Get character equals await lib dot, and then this beautiful menu comes up, and we can say Airtable, and we want to where's it at? Create, insert. There it is. So what is the base? Buzzfeed style quiz. What is the table? Quiz. And let's just make sure that's right. App WAVHL. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. And so we want answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, and then answer 4 here. Because this is what we're sending. And then we can do context params dot answer 1, just like that. And just pass this down. So where this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And when we're finished configuring, it gives us this. But I think what we can do is just get rid of these backticks. We shouldn't need them, I don't think. So now we have this, right? And basically this is catching the payload that we send in. And so via our API or via our JavaScript. So here we can do answer 1 is 1. Okay, and then we can just copy this 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and then we'll repeat this again for a lot of repetition. Okay, and then we save this. So this is what we would send in via our API. This is it. And then what we want to do here is we just want to return get character. And then let's run this and see what happens. Hey, it worked. And so 1, 1, 1, 1, and you'll see. Oh, yeah, there it is. 1, 1, 1, 1. It just landed in. In fact, let's do another test. 2, 2, 2, 2. Save it. Run it. You'll say this says we are beard. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 beard. Yep. Okay. So this is working. The problem is it's going to send back table, rows, all of this. So let's do get character dot rows 0, and then let's run this again. It's going to create another beard. Yep, but and then it gives us back. You can see, yep, created, and then here is all of that data we need. So now we have this set up in autocode, and this gives us an endpoint. So we can just copy this endpoint, and let's go back to our site, and let's go back to our code, and let's just make a note and put this endpoint in there. Okay, so now let's do a function, and we'll just call this get character. All right, so we're going to do some things, but first let's let's do const handle error here, and then we'll do equals response, just like that, and then we'll do an arrow function again, and then here's where we can do, you know, if the response dot okay. So if the response is not okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to throw an error, and I like to use some variables here, so we'll do backticks. We'll say response dot status, and response dot status text, just like that. So now we have this, and we can say, okay, if that happens else, then what we want to do is return response dot JSON. Okay, so this is going to be our error handling here if we do have any problems. So now we need to get the answer. So we're going to say const answer1 equals document dot query selector, and let's not do all because that tripped me up earlier. And then let's do input where the name of it equals 1, and just like that, 1. Input name equals 1. We'll do this here. Yep, gotta get that right. Equals 1, and then we'll do checked because we want that checked one, and then we'll do dot value. No, value. Okay, just like that. And then I think what we're going to have to do is actually wrap this and go number, because what's going to happen is, even though there's a number in that answer, it's going to get passed through as a string. I've just done this enough times to know that that's going to happen. So we're just going to do this, and then we're going to copy this over 3 more times, and we're going to use our trick again. So actually we'll just do 2, and this is going to be 2, 3, and this is going to be 3, and then 4, and this is going to be 4. All right, so that's going to get our values, right? And in fact, one thing that we could do here just to test, well, we'll just keep going. We're going to trust that we get this right, even though, you know, it is pretty complicated. Okay, so let's jump to the next here. We'll do fetch, and then what we're going to do is, no, I don't want to return. I want to do that. Then let's grab this endpoint here, and let's just put it in here. So that's the endpoint for autocode, and then we're going to put some options in here. So we want to do method is post. Actually, I think we need to post like that. And then we want to do headers. That's more options. So we can do accept, application, JSON, and then we'll do content. Oh my gosh, get off that screen. That's we'll do content type, and then here we'll do application JSON as well. And then here we'll just put this, and we'll now throw in the body JSON.stringify, and we'll open this up, open and close that, and then here's where we do answer 1 is answer 1. And then answer 2 is answer 2, and answer 3 is answer 3, and answer 4 is answer 4. All right. So we have this now, which looking pretty good, pretty clean. And then here, after this, what we want to do is get rid of this and do a dot. We want to do a thenable, so we'll say dot then handle error. So if there's an error after we make this call, just skip straight to that. Dot then. We'll do then do data, and then we'll do just an arrow function here, and let's console.log data. And then outside of that, let's do a dot catch. So this would be function. We'll write an error, and then we will just say console.log that error. So it's going to console log that status and status text. And then after this, I like to do a dot finally. Finally, and we'll just do the arrow function, and then here we'll just say do something. Finally, we're going to do something. So we'll make the API request. If there's an error, we'll throw it. If not, we're going to console log the data. Then we'll catch. Then this is where that catch error would be, and then finally we'll end up doing something. So there we go. That is get character. Then what we can do is up here we can say get character. Unreachable code detected. Oh, it's because it's after return false. We want to put it before here. So just so it's going to get the character and return false. So it's going to prevent that. So now let's refresh the page and let's just try this here. So we're selecting our answers. Form should not submit. And we should see some data showing up over here. There we go. So data, and then this is what we got. We selected 4s. You're Ted. And let's look at our sheet. Yep, 4s. We're Ted. Okay. So there we go. Well, that's what we wanted. So now we need to work with this. We need to be able to build with this. So let's jump back into Webflow. And underneath the form, let's go ahead and put a div. And we'll put in another div here. And we'll put in another div. And we'll put these inside here. And we'll call this results. Just like that. Then inside of here, I'm going to call this loading wrapper. Nope, loading wrapper. There we go. And let's put a lottie inside of there. We can choose. All right, we'll call this Lottie, we'll make it a width of 200 and we'll center it. Okay, so there's our loading wrapper. And in fact, we can just hide that. And then this is going to be our results wrapper. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and let's see what did we have on this. This is the one, the original. So we show a name, an image, and a description. So let's do a heading, and we'll just make this an H2. We'll say you are X. And in fact, with this X, let's just make it a span, and we'll just do result name. And then beneath this, we'll put an image, and we'll just call this result image. Let's choose an image in here just so we have one. Now, what we need to do is Shift Command O or Shift Control O and turn off responsive images, because it's going to have source sets with it, and we just need one href to work with, so one source tag to work with. So we're going to turn off responsive images for that result image, and then let's go ahead and put a paragraph in here, and we'll call this result description. Okay, we have that, and then let's style this. Let's just give it border 0.25 rem. We'll make it match all the other things that we did. There we go. And then let's do like 1 rem here. Perfect. Okay, so we have this now, and we have the loading wrapper. We'll go ahead and show the loading wrapper too. We'll show everything. In the loading wrapper, we want to loop. Okay, so let's publish this and refresh. So you see it's showing. That doesn't really help us, but if we choose our options, we can show the results and we get them back. Okay, so now let's work with this. So down here, and then console log data, what we want to do is we want to say document.query selector result name dot inner text equals data.fields, right? Data.fields dot result name. We're just matching here. We'll do document. We'll just do the same thing. We'll copy it, except here and here this should be description. Just like that. Okay, and then we'll do this one more time, except this is going to be result image, and then instead of inner text, we'll say source equals result image. All right, so let's save that and refresh. And now let's choose someone who is not Ted. So let's choose Rebecca. That'll give us. So we do this. Hey, you are Rebecca. We get the picture of Rebecca. We get the description of Rebecca. That's perfect, right? So we're writing this. Basically, we just map this. So data.fields dot whatever, result description, result image, result name. That gets sent back to us. Pretty fun. That's pretty fun. So some things we probably should do though. So for get character, let's do this. Before we really get started, there's some things that we want to do. So first thing we should do is respect motion preference and document dot query selector, and we'll say result. How did I do that? Div results. So results. So basically we're just going to scroll down to the results area. And then we need some functions to fade things in and out. So I'm going to write some functions here. So we'll just call this function fade out. And we'll just choose, we'll do E for element for a parameter. And then let's go ahead and write this. We'll say E.style dot transition equals opacity 0.5 seconds. So it's going to fade over in 0.5 seconds. E.style dot opacity. So we added a transition. We'll just say the opacity of this is now 0. And then we'll set timeout. No, set timeout. And just like this. And we'll do arrow function. And we'll do E.style dot display equals none, right? Just like this, and we'll let it take 500, half a second here. All right, so this is our fade out. So basically what happens is when we fade out an element, we make sure it has a transition for opacity. We set the opacity to 0, so we set the transition, set it to 0, it takes 0.5 seconds, and we probably should make this like, and then after the animation is played, right, we've faded it out, we'll go ahead and remove it from the canvas. And then we want to do the same sort of thing for a fade in. So we'll do the same thing, just pass it an element. And then we'll want to E.style dot display equals block. In fact, E.style opacity equals 0 in case it's not 0, and we'll reverse these. This should probably be okay. Then we'll display a block. Then we'll E.style dot transition. We'll do the same thing. We'll set a transition on it, 0.5 seconds, and then we can just copy this and set a timeout. E.style dot opacity should be here should be 1, and we'll just make this half a second. All right, so now we have something that fades in an element and fades out an element. So when we go back to our code here, we get characters. So we want to scroll down, and then we want to fade out the submit button. So document dot query selector, and then we'll do submit. I think, at least I hope I have that on it. So we'll fade that out. Let's look. There is no ID, so let's add one. Let's save it and publish. All right. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna fade this out so people can't hit it again. We don't need, it's like people paying more than once. We don't need them to submit this again. Let's hide it. So we hide that. Document.query selector submit. We're gonna fade that out, and then let's fade in document.query selector loading wrapper. I want to say it's what we called it. Let's just look. Loading wrapper, and then results wrapper. Okay. So now we have this. So they click it, we scroll to the results, we hide the submit button, we show them the loading wrapper, and then everything happens. And then finally what we want to do is we want to fade out. So fade out our loading wrapper. So let's just grab this, because now that now that this is done, we want to get rid of the loading wrapper. We want to fade in document.query selector And we would want to fade in results wrapper. What did we? Results wrapper. Yeah, results wrapper. Okay, so we'll fade that in. And then we will do respect motion preference. We'll just we'll scroll again. We'll just steal what we did up here, which is we just want to. They're different heights, so we want to make sure it's scrolled to the right place. And then let's do this here. We'll take the result wrapper and we'll paste it, and we'll do set attribute. We want to do tab index of -1, and we'll do the same thing again, and we will focus it. Focus. So what this is going to do is if you're using a screen reader, when that result pops up, it'll automatically take your screen reader there, start reading the results, and focus that so that they wouldn't need to take any action, which makes sense, right? If you hit the button and you're getting your results, you would expect that it would just start reading it to you. You don't have to take any action. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do now is our loading wrapper. We need to hide it. The results wrapper, we can hide it because we've got our functions here that should do the work for us. So now we can refresh. All right, and then let's turn reduce motion off. Let's take the quiz. Let's just refresh here. We'll choose Rebecca again. So it's scrolling us down. We click show results. It fades that out, fades that in. Hey, there you go. You are Rebecca. This is exactly what we wanted right here. So, I mean, this is the basics, right? This is the main piece of what I showed. So now that we have this, what we can do, since this is local and we're the only ones who can access it, what we can do is use GitHub in here. We can say finish with script. We should probably be more descriptive, but we'll commit this and then we'll sync the changes. And then when we come over to GitHub, we should be able to refresh this. Finish with the script. You'll see it's there. It's perfect. What we could do here is let's go to pages and let's deploy from a branch main. Let's save it. All right, so now we need something to kick it off. So let's just go back to our file section here, readme. We'll put in something, this is for a Buzzfeed style quiz and logo. Or Webflow, Buzzfeed style quiz and Webflow. Okay, just so we can have a commit, and then we'll come back over here and say, updated readme, and then we'll commit this and we'll sync the changes. All right, so that should show us this, and then we should see GitHub pages queued to go. So we'll see it's building. And what this is going to allow us to do is once it's finished building, we're going to have a public address URL that we can use with this file that we can go back in and replace the local one. So this takes normally a couple minutes, but we're just going to come in here and update this now so that it's not just us that sees the magic, right? We can get everybody using it. So let's just see where it's at. It's still going. And then what we'll do is we'll use JS Deliver. JS Deliver has this fun pattern. We're just going to copy this, and this will end up putting our file in a CDN. So I'm actually going to come back over here and just we'll just save this for now. So we have it, and let's come back over here to GitHub. Okay, it's finished, and if we go to settings, pages, we should see this here, and now we should have access to, if we just type script.js at the end of our URL, there it is. We can copy the link and use that, but we can also do this. So GitHub user, my username is Riley Richter. repo is, let's look, Buzzfeed tutorial. So Buzzfeed tutorial. File is script.js, and the version, if we go to our code and we choose our latest commit, we can throw this in here, and now we have this link to our same code that is on CDN now. So oops, so now if I just paste this in here, you'll see this pops up. But what's really cool is this at the end of this, I think you should still be able to see this, script.min.js, and it gives us a minified version of it automatically. We can copy that, come to our project, paste this in, save it, publish it, and now this is going to be work that everybody has access to. So this is how I did it. You know, we're using Airtable, we're using AutoCode, we're using some custom code, we're using GitHub, we're using Webflow, and we get this fun, you know, final version where we can take this quiz and it's going to give us our results. And you know, we're not doing any of that work locally, right? Or inside of Webflow. And probably what we should do, you can see it's still console logging, so like we could come over here and we can get rid of this now, we don't need it. And we could go back to our script. We'd probably want to take this out and get rid of that so it's not console logging every time, or you can leave it, doesn't matter. But this is how I was able to build this. So for those folks who were at the talk at Webflow Conf and you wanted something more in depth, hopefully this gives you what you need. Thanks so much for watching.